From the virtual newsroom of Impact Alpha, this is your Impact Briefing for Friday, June 4th. Today, highlights from my recent conversations with Dr. Tiffany Crutcher and Greg Robinson from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and with Ann Price of the Insight Center for Community Economic Development on Impact Alpha's Reconstruction podcast. But first, here's what you need to know from the week in Impact Investing. A third insurgent director will join ExxonMobil's board. The oil company said shareholders have elected Andy Karsner, an energy expert and self-described passionate conservationist. He will join two other successful candidates backed by the activist hedge fund Energy Number One. Another Exxon director called the shareholder revolt a tidal wave. For a breakdown of the shareholder drama at Exxon, revisit last week's Impact Briefing. From tuk-tuks to boda-bodas, transportation is going electric in emerging markets. Global sales of 2- and 3-wheeled electric vehicles is forecast to reach $150 billion next year. In Africa, India, and Southeast Asia, impact investors are investing in manufacturers, charging networks, and financing for drivers and delivery services to make the switch. Corporations are starting to provide capital for community investment. The latest example is Local Initiative Support Corporation's $250 million Black Economic Development Fund, which sourced capital from a raft of companies led by PayPal and Netflix. Some of the capital is being deposited at Community Development Finance Institutions, or CDFIs, and minority depository institutions. Advocates have urged corporations to go beyond deposits and make equity investments and grants to strengthen the capital structures of the CDFIs themselves. Phase 10 recruited historically Black colleges and universities to its new $250 million fund and will donate half of its profits for their endowments and scholarships. Phase 10 will invest in late-stage technology companies with a focus on catalyzing wealth creation for underrepresented communities. LPs in the advancement initiative include Howard University, Florida A&M, Hampton University, and Tuskegee University. And in deal flow this week, Guild Education raised another $150 million to upskill frontline workers, giving the Denver-based company a valuation of $3.8 billion. TPG's Rise Fund put $100 million into ClimaVision to improve weather forecasting in the face of climate change. And IDH FarmFit, based in the Netherlands, acquired a stake in LendXS to expand and speed up lending to smallholder farmers in Kenya, Ghana, Uganda, and Cote d'Ivoire. Impact Alpha readers got all of these stories and many more delivered to their inbox each morning in the brief.
We do ourselves no favors by pretending none of this ever happened, or it doesn't impact us today, because it does still impact us today. We can't just choose to learn what we want to know and not what we should know.
That was President Biden speaking in Tulsa, Oklahoma, to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, which destroyed the prosperous Black community of Greenwood and left more than 300 people dead. Dr. Tiffany Crutcher is a descendant of one of the survivors and lost her twin brother, Terrence Crutcher, to police violence in 2016. Tiffany shared her story with us.
The same culture that burned down Black Wall Street, my great-grandmother's community, is the same culture that killed Terrence Crutcher, and they still, to this day, tell us, get over it. Why are you all still talking about this? We didn't do it. Our people didn't do it. Why are you holding people, a community, accountable for something that someone else did 100 years ago?
A moment of silence for those we lost in 1921. Greg Robinson of the Met Cares Foundation in Tulsa shared the story of the Tulsa Race Massacre through the eyes of his father and bridged the injustice of that time to today.
The answer to our problems is certainly not being further subjugated or being told how to improve ourselves by a white power structure who has been ultimately the reason for our oppression. The answer is to invest in us and to get out the way and allow us to do our work. Don't fall into the trap of white supremacy. Don't believe the lie that Black people and communities of color can't do for themselves. If you give us the tool, if you give us the resource, we certainly can figure out how to use it properly.
To reflect on how to build forward better, I spoke with Ann Price, president of the Insight Center, a national racial and economic justice organization in Oakland, California, that is centering Blackness not only in history, but in the solutions we need now.
We're not simply saying that we want to replace one model of racial hierarchy that privileges whiteness with an equally hierarchical kind of Blackness, right? If we're centering Blackness, we see the inherent harm in that latter, right? And we're trying to address for that. I think because anti-Blackness inhibits the building of humane systems, then tackling this doesn't only impact Black people, it holds back all Americans.
That resonates with Heather McGee's book, The Sum of Us, What Racism Costs Everyone and How We Can Prosper Together, which explores the systemic nature of racism in the U.S. Here's Anne.
I think about James Baldwin when he says, whatever white people do not know about Black people reveals precisely what they don't know about themselves, right? And when you don't know yourself fully, how can you truly be whole?
If you hadn't yet had the chance, I invite you to give both conversations a listen and share your thoughts on the lessons of the past as we build to a new future. Drop us a line or record a voice memo on your phone and send it to tr@impactalpha.com, and we'll share it in a future podcast. That's going to do it for your Impact Briefing this week. You can read all of these stories at impactalpha.com. Impact Alpha's podcasts are available wherever you listen, made possible by Impact Alpha subscribers. Join them and receive the daily brief and full access to impactalpha.com and more. Now is a great time to subscribe. It's Impact Alpha's best deal of the year. Sign up for your first annual subscription and you'll receive half off. The deal ends soon, so head over to impactalpha.com/subscribe today. Thank you for listening, and thanks to our producer, Isaac Silk. I'm Monique Aiken, Managing Director for TIP, the Investment Integration Project. Make sure to check back for next week's briefing. Until then, take care.